Greetings world. Recently we released a video on the group known as Antifa, and the violent tactics they are spreading through their movement across the country. To show that we pay attention to the concerns of our followers, this follow-up video will be in response to numerous questions and comments. First, we would like to acknowledge our audience by saying thank you for helping spread our message to the public. Without your help, we would not have been able to get our message out so quickly, to so many thousands of people. This is the true purpose of Anonymous, to inform the public around them to the events taking place around the world, and to seek the truth behind such events. This is why Anonymous never had a head, and why Anonymous never serves a political ideology or leader. We would like to set the record straight that Anonymous is not a group of hackers. Anonymous is an immaterial idea which represents that which is just. It can widely be acknowledged, however, that there have been at times, places and events where Anonymous has found power through random groups of hacktivists. Because Anonymous has no head, not all actions or ideas portrayed under the disguise of the face of Anonymous truly represents Anonymous. Any one person or collective group of people can claim to be Anonymous. But it is up to you, as a human being, who has a conscious mind, to see the lies, when they lay on the table in front of your face. Anonymous is your brother, your sister, your parents, your neighbor, and you yourself. Anonymous is the truth that lies within you, though you may not know it. We would also like to make it clear, that the release of the previous video was not a declaration of war against Antifa. Nor was it a call to arms to the citizens looking to bring physical harm to these individuals. This is the reaction that Antifa is looking to induce in people with their actions. Always remember, this is a group with a political aim, to silence those that oppose them. Anything you try in a media world that widely sides with Antifa, or tries to cover up any of their malicious acts, and choose only to show reactions of the so-called neo-Nazis, will be used against us, the people, to a devastating impact. The outcome of which will end in a totalitarian state of government, whether it lay on the right, the left, or a whole new political spectrum. Furthermore, infiltrating their groups to engage in some kind of physical pushback, will only add credence to their claim, that the violence is spurring from far-right agitators.
A conspiracy theory promoted on the Young Turks and CNN proposes that the black masked rioters who stopped Milo Yiannopoulos from speaking at UC Berkeley were actually right-wingers pretending to be militant leftists.
Could the right wing come in masked? Could it be 4chan guys who come in to cause trouble so that they can then turn around and do exactly what they did today? Oh, you got to take away the funding from Berkeley.
Those people were not Berkeley students. Those were outsiders, agitators. I've never seen them before. There's rumors that they actually were right-wingers. I've heard that there was some relationship there between these people and the right wing, and the right-wing movement that is affiliated with Breitbart News.
Many people have suggested that we as an organization take action against Antifa to expose them. However, there are two problems with this. One, is that Anonymous is not an organization. The second is that these events are not hidden, nor are they hard to research. The people carrying out these acts can be found all over social media platforms and mainstream media platforms. Most of their information can be found directly on their websites, and recruitment for such events has taken place on their websites and platforms such as Facebook or Craigslist. We as a sect are not a group of hackers, and are simply a group of concerned citizens who have taken the time to try to inform the public of what the news is not. Such groups like BAMN, Antifa, and Refuse Fascism are very open with the plans of militant tactics to take back the country from what they continue to try to portray as a growing Nazi threat, with such slogans as "kill them before they take root, set phasers to kill and punch a Nazi." As an example, a spokeswoman of the organization known as BAMN, or By Any Means Necessary, Yvette Felarca, can be found all over the net, with articles written about her from every side of the spectrum, and even material from her posted on her Facebook page. However, with enough of your own sufficient research, it is simple to find out that she is the exact portrayal of everything that she claims to be fighting. To put it simply, we debated heavily about even making this follow-up video, as this will only garner her and these organizations more media attention. However, it would seem that there are a number of people refusing to see the smokescreen of her violent rhetoric. She has been spotted at events such as the UC Berkeley riots, and the Sacramento stabbings inciting and committing violence against legal protesters. In an article posted on berkeleyside.com on November 2, 2016, by Francis Dinkelspiel entitled Yvette Felarca to return to Berkeley classroom today, the incident on June 26, 2016 in Sacramento, California that resulted in 10 people being hospitalized, was portrayed as such. Begin quote, Felarca and BAMN members said her forced leave had been connected to her actions at a counter-protest against white supremacists in Sacramento on June 26. A television station filmed Felarca taunting and hitting a neo-Nazi attending the rally led by the Traditionalist Worker Party, a white nationalist extremist group. Felarca, along with a number of others, was injured in the confrontation. Film clips show her with a head injury. End quote. It is important to note, however, that when watching the videos that show how she was acting at the rally, it can be assumed that the injury that Yvette Felarca received that day was not a result of a fascist attacking her, and is highly likely that the injury she sustained was the result of her being thrown to the ground by an officer, after having incited the beating of a counter-protester by several people including herself, or by a protester who was simply taking the means to defend themselves when confronted with a mob of violent agitators. She also claims that she was one of the people stabbed at the event and that her head was cracked open, yet she is able to stand, talk and walk coherently. It is important to mention that no camera caught the supposed stab wound she claims that she sustained.
Are these people going to do anything? We don't have freedom of speech.
Need to go, boy.
Hey, say the shit. Be nice. Be nice. Come here, Nazi. Get the fuck off our streets. Get the fuck off our streets. Piece of shit.
We're not here to protect you.
Sir, please. I'm just here to protest. Please.
Stand down.
Get out. Get back. Get back. Get back. Get back.
I'm Scott Laurie. Thanks for joining us. A number of people have been stabbed in a clash between white nationalists and protesters at a rally in Sacramento, California. Police say at least 6 people were taken to hospital with injuries, some with critical stab wounds. A neo-Nazi group had been planning a rally at a park by the Capitol building for weeks, and a group of protesters showed up to demonstrate against them. People used pepper spray, flagpoles, and other blunt objects to attack each other. It's unclear how exactly the violence at the Capitol began. Now, Yvette Felarca is a coordinator for a civil rights advocacy group, By Any Means Necessary. She was at the rally and joins us now. Tell us exactly what happened.
What happened was today the Nazi racist scumbags tried to hold a recruitment rally on the state's capital, but instead our demonstration of very courageous and militant integrated anti-racist and anti-fascist protesters shut them down. And they had to run away, and they had to run scared behind the police or in the building, and they had to cancel their own rally. They didn't recruit anyone today. We won today.
How long did this clash go on for?
The demonstration was scheduled for 12 noon, but anti-fascist and anti-racist demonstrators were there. BAM was there starting at 9 a.m., as were a whole lot of other people, and we were out there until about almost close to 2 p.m. But every time the fascists tried to show their faces, they were met with very strong, courageous, and militant resistance.
It is also a commonplace sight, at events such as this, to see members of Antifa, BAM, or Refuse Fascism, simply trying to block out views of cameras or instructing people not to talk to the media. It is also not uncommon to see members of the media attacked or threatened for trying to cover the events taking place, and when reporting that the people partaking in such events seem to be mass numbers of the so-called anti-fascist movements.
Can I get a sense of what your sign means? Are you with Colorado Springs Anti-Fascist? Why is it that so many folks on your side are so unwilling to speak to the camera, but everyone else seems to want to talk? Do you want your viewpoint to be heard? Are you with Colorado Springs Anti-Fascists?
Free speech. Hate speech isn't free speech. Hate speech isn't.
I just heard this.
Hate speech isn't free speech. Hate speech isn't free speech. Hate speech isn't free speech. Hate speech isn't free speech.
She's trying to keep him. She's trying to keep him from touching me, but he is trying to block the shot. It's not what I would do to you, bro.
Hate speech isn't free speech.
Are you with Colorado Springs Anti-Fascists? I had an incident, I guess about, 30 minutes ago, where I was trying to talk to one of your people, and one of your other people put a sign in front of my camera. Now, how is that consistent with the building bridges thing that you guys have been shouting? All right.
Expect existence or respect existence?
Be safe.
Expect existence or expect resistance?
Get your hand off me. I'm watching. Get camera out of here. Get out. Get out. Don't stop. Get the fuck out. No, you're not causing the problem. Your belligerent people are causing. No, you step out here. Why do you permission the media? You have a right to be here. Give me that. Hey, give me that. Stupid ass 19. That's a golf course attack, motherfucker. Fuck out of here. Go.
In an interview on KTVU on February 3, 2017, Yvette Felarca can be noted as saying that more militant protests, like the ones that were seen at UC Berkeley, should be the main tactics of this group going forward. When Yvette was asked this question, what is the real fear of him having the conversation with 500 students, so the 500 people who bought tickets to the event? End quote. Her response was as such. Well, just to go back to how you characterized the protest. This is not a question of violent versus peaceful protest. I was there, and there were thousands of people out there, who were united. It was a mass protest, a militant protest, and everyone was there to shut him down. So, whatever it was going to take to do that, we were all there with a united cause, and we were stunningly successful. End quote. Yvette can also be quoted in the February 13 interview with Tucker Carlson as having responded to the question of what is a fascist with this statement. So a fascist is someone who is organizing a mass movement that is attacking women, immigrants, black people, and other minority groups, in a movement of genocide. And it's someone who is committing violence, and organizing other people to commit violence. End quote. First, we would like to note that the actual definition of fascism, sourced from Merriam-Webster, is as such, a way of organizing a society in which a government ruled by a dictator controls the lives of the people and in which people are not allowed to disagree with the government, or very harsh control or authority, or a political system headed by a dictator in which the government controls business and labor and opposition is not permitted. If you look at the way fascism is described by Yvette, or by Merriam-Webster, it is plain to see that she is the exact definition of what she claims to be fighting. To further describe her accurately, and legally, you need only to source the legal definition of a terrorist, which is as such, the unlawful use or threat of violence especially against the state or the public as a politically motivated means of attack or coercion. The question remains as to why she has not been jailed for her actions, as her actions and rhetoric alone are against numerous laws, and against the laws that protect one's constitutional rights, which can be sourced from the U.S. Code Title 18, Part 1, Chapter 13, Section 241 on the Cornell University Law School website. We as a people must ask ourselves the question as to why someone like this would be allowed to sit in a classroom and spread her violent rhetoric further and indoctrinate our children, let alone why she is even allowed to continue doing what she is doing. Yvette Felarca is a perfect example of the type of school system we spoke about in a previous video entitled, The Indoctrination of Society and Our Children, which we will link in the description.
Peaceful about it. Why not, chant and hold your signs and things, but when you take the barricades and you destroy the building and when you set fires, isn't that counterproductive?
I think that the left has been far too timid for way too long. And it's why we've even gotten in this position where we even have someone like Donald Trump leading a fascist movement as the president of the United States. We need to make sure that we have more mass protests, more militant protests that are mass and militant. But now what I think was so important about our success on Wednesday, which is why it should be the model for how the movement needs to take things now in the future.
Really?
Yeah, because, but let me finish, is because we need to make sure that the millions of people out there who are angry and who are scared under Donald Trump and everything that he's doing now know that there are people out there who will stand up and fight the way the movement needs to. That clearly Wednesday was not business as usual. It was people fighting united in a mass effort, in a united effort, and by any means necessary.
So no regrets at all about what took place?
What we need to do is we've got to draw lessons from this in terms of how we can build and build even stronger, how we can make sure that we build the movement, and also that we continue to organize, because it's not spontaneous. This is about organizing and fighting by any means necessary.
All right. Yvette, thank you so much.
And Miss Felarca is no doubt aware of the many innocent people the rioters beat, battered, and bloodied that night, at least one of whom was hospitalized with broken ribs. And this is not the first time Miss Felarca and her group have advocated violence to silence political opponents.
And we're really, really glad about that. But most importantly is that not only did the fascists suffer physically, they suffered politically. And BAM's committed to building the new civil rights and immigrant rights movement. And many of Sacramento and California's Latino, and immigrant communities were especially out in full force, strong, militant, and ready to stand up for our rights and defend ourselves.
Lastly, it is important that no one from any side of the political spectrum take physical actions against these rioters. Again, this is the reaction that these groups are looking to invoke in their opposition so that they may use it against them. Do not get us wrong, we do not advocate their behavior, and do not hold judgment on those seeking to protect themselves, but it is important that when citizens find themselves in these violent rallies and confrontations, that they are truly seeking only to defend themselves or loved ones. It is also of the utmost importance that you capture these events in full on video, and if you can get video evidence of the faces of the people committing these acts of violence against you, your loved ones, or fellow innocent citizens. Taking a direct physical opposition will only drive us into a civil war, one in which the sides are blurred and no one knows the real enemy. Rather, we should seek to defeat them with logic, reason, and information based on facts. This situation is not applicable to a short-term, quick-fix solution. The way back to civilized society is a long and bumpy road that will have many ups and downs. However, the only way to take back the system and stop this before it begins is to become more aware of the world that surrounds us, and the political and societal forces at work. We must learn to question the school, media, and legal systems. We must learn to set the time aside to teach our children the values that are most important to us, instead of letting state and federal school systems, media outlets, and political figures control us and following what they say blindly. Teach your children to become self-sufficient. How to grow their own food, how to defend themselves and when it is appropriate to do so. Teach them how to love one another and at the same time how to view the world in a realistic fashion. Teach them how to accept gracefully when they have lost, or when they have won. Teach them discipline of mind, body, and soul. We know that as parents, it is hard for us not to want to shelter our children from anything and everything that can or will harm or upset them. However, always remember that it is the process of overcoming obstacles in our life, whether self-inflicted or inflicted by an outer source, that makes one distinguishable and unique.